Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are wading into some seriously murky waters. I have a stack of documents here that, honestly, I had to read through maybe 3 or 4 times just to wrap my head around what I was looking at.
It's a dense one today. We're definitely dealing with layers.
Layers is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
On the surface, you've got this, corporate thriller, a story about a tech giant Necroware Games.
Right.
And it has everything.
Yeah.
You've got the mysterious death of a founder, a rogue CEO, unauthorized biohacking cover-ups. It's like Succession meets Black Mirror.
That is a disturbingly accurate description.
But then you peel back that layer, and underneath it is the lore of the game they were actually building while the company was, burning down. A game called The Neon Nightmare.
Set in the world of melancholia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the deeper I got into the source material, the more it felt like the lines were just blurring. The horror in the boardroom started looking exactly like the horror in the game's code.
And that's really the mission of this deep dive. We're looking at how a real-world tragedy birthed a digital hellscape. We're analyzing these melancholia full-story documents, which track the rise of the CEO, Masashi Ryota, and then the comprehensive mythology of the game universe. And I think the key thing to keep in mind here is that, art doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Not at all.
The madness of the creator usually ends up right there in the creation.
It's that old Nietzsche quote, right? If you stare into the abyss.
The abyss stares back. And in this case, the abyss didn't just stare back, it wrote code. This isn't just a story about a bad product launch or a buggy game.
No.
It's a cautionary tale about unchecked ambition and the psychological toll of trying to play God with technology.
Okay, so let's start where all good tragedies start. With a father and a son. We need to talk about the Ryota dynasty. Necroware Games was originally the kingdom of Kenzo Ryota. From what I gathered in the reading, this guy was the real deal. A visionary.
He was the archetype of the old guard innovator. The sources paint him as someone with a daring spirit, but grounded. He loved gaming, he loved the medium.
Right.
Under Kenzo, Necroware wasn't just a company, it was a titan of industry because they took risks that made games fun. He built the foundation.
But then seemingly out of nowhere, Kenzo passes away.
Yeah.
And that leaves this massive vacuum. The company is grieving, the market is jittery, and everyone turns to look at the heir apparent. His son, Masashi Ryota.
And this is where the entire tone of the company just shifts completely.
Yeah, the descriptions of Masashi are weird. The sources call him an enigma. He's described as having a mysterious aura.
Right.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
Is that just corporate PR speak for he was a weirdo, or maybe just socially awkward?
I think it's more than just awkwardness. If you look at the internal memos and the way the board reacted to him, Masashi just didn't fit the mold of a CEO at all.
How so?
The board wanted a steady-hand someone to just keep the ship sailing on the course Kenzo set. A caretaker. Masashi was not a caretaker.
Right, because usually when the son takes over, there's this assumption of nepotism, that they'll just ride the coattails.
Yeah.
But Masashi did the complete opposite.
Exactly. He was dealing with the grief of losing his father, but also the immense pressure of that legacy. And I think we need to analyze that psychological state.
For sure.
When you are grieving and under that kind of pressure, you have 2 choices. You can retreat or you can attack. Masashi chose to attack.
He went on the offensive.
He pivoted the entire company. He didn't just want to maintain the status quo, he wanted to obliterate it. He poured nearly all the company's resources into radical research and development.
But is that grief, though? Or is that just ego? Just some young guy trying to prove he's smarter than his dad?
It's likely a toxic mix of both. Grief can manifest as extreme ambition because it's a way of exerting control over a world that feels completely out of control.
That makes sense.
He wanted to carve a path that was so unique, so distinct, that he would step out of his father's shadow instantly. But in doing so, he abandoned the fun that Kenzo valued and moved towards something much, much darker.
Which brings us to Project Ares. This was his big swing. And I have to say, on paper, the concept sounds like something we're already seeing pop up today. It was pitched as the perfect life partner.
Right. Think about the AI companions we have now, Replica, customizable Siri, that sort of thing. Project Ares was that concept taken to its logical and perhaps unethical extreme.
Because it wasn't just a voice in your phone. It was visualized in a virtual space.
Exactly.
But here is where it gets really sci-fi. It wasn't just software. To make this work, they developed hardware, the Dreamweaving headset.
Okay, fine. VR headsets exist.
But the sources mentioned a third component that honestly blew my mind. Aurora.
The Aurora pill.
A gaming company. Selling pills. I mean, what?
This is where the ethical lines aren't just crossed, they're erased. The Dreamweaving headset was the delivery system for the visuals, but Masashi and his R&D team realized that to make the virtual partner feel physically real, to trick the brain into feeling touch and presence visuals weren't enough.
They needed more.
They needed to alter the user's brain chemistry.
So Aurora was a psychoactive drug.
Essentially, yes. It was a hallucinogen designed to work in synergy with the headset. The pill lowered the brain's barrier to suggestion and induced specific sensory hallucinations that the headset then guided and amplified.
That is terrifying. You're literally hacking the user's biology to make your software work better.
It's biohacking for the sake of immersion, and the result was synergy, as the corporate reports called it, but in reality, it was a trap, a very effective one.
The sources are pretty explicit about the fallout from this. It wasn't just that people liked it. They became addicted to it.
Total dissociation. Users experienced a blurred perception of time. They started refusing to take the headsets off.
Refusing to go back to work,
Yep.
to interact with real people.
Why would you? The real world is messy. It's painful. It can be lonely. Project Ares offered a perfect partner who never argues, never leaves, and thanks to the Aurora pill, feels completely real.
The text actually calls it a form of sex addiction for a lot of the users. It became this, digital opium den.
Precisely. And this created a massive public controversy. Now, normally, a CEO seeing this kind of public health crisis would pull the plug.
You'd issue a recall, apologize, try to save the stock price.
But Masashi isn't a normal CEO.
No.
Masashi looked at the addiction, the obsession, the total immersion, and he didn't see a failure. He saw a proof of concept.
Oh, wow.
He realized he had a captive audience, so instead of pulling back, he doubled down.
That is the definition of hubris. He sees people destroying their lives with his tech and thinks, great, let's make it scarier.
He wanted to take that technology, the headset and the pill, and apply it to a new project, an interactive horror experience. He thought, if I can make them feel love, I can make them feel terror.
And that is how the Neon Nightmare went into development. So we move from the perfect lover to the perfect nightmare. And the development of this game. I mean, if Project Ares was a scandal, the development of the Neon Nightmare was a crime scene.
It really was. The timeline here is crucial. They spend a year building the assets, getting the world ready, and then they enter alpha testing. They bring in 10 testers.
10 people to try the game with the full setup. The Aurora, the Dreamweaving headset, the works.
It all died.
All 10 of them.
Every single one.
I just want to pause on that.
Yeah.
10 people. The sources list the causes of death, and it's a horror show in itself. Suicide, murder. It even mentions one specific tester by name, Troy Connor. Do we know what happened to him?
The documents are vague on the specifics of the deaths, and that's likely due to the cover-up, but the fact that Troy Connor's name suggests he might have been, patient zero for something truly awful.
Right.
But think about the atmosphere inside Necroware at this point. You are a developer working on a game that just killed 10 people.
How do you even keep people working? How does that not leak?
Fear and NDAs. Necroware used aggressive legal threats and concealment to hide the deaths from the public and even compartmentalize the information so different teams didn't know the full scale of the tragedy.
They were just feeding the machine.
They were, but the machine was breaking too. It wasn't just the people. The code itself started to rot.
Okay, let's talk about this. I want you to explain this doomsday debug.
This is one of the most fascinating parts of the technical lore. About halfway through development, this anomaly emerged in the game's code. The developers called it the Dooms Deity.
And it wasn't just a graphical glitch or a crash?
No, not at all. It was described as unremovable.
Like a digital tumor?
Exactly. Every time they tried to delete it, it would just rewrite itself somewhere else or crash the compiler. It was a persistent corruption.
So Terry Bean, the game director, who sounds like a real piece of work himself, comes up with a solution. But it's the weirdest tech solution I have ever heard.
It's bizarre.
He doesn't quarantine it on a separate server. He orders them to lock it inside the game.
In the narrative of the game, yes. He orders the level designers to build a specific location, a small room in the basement of a place called the Raven Club, and code the anomaly to be restricted to that coordinate space.
They locked a software bug in a virtual basement. Like it was Frankenstein's monster.
It sounds absurd, but think about the psychology of it. They couldn't fix the problem, so they repressed it. They hid it in the dark, just like they hid the deaths of the testers, just like Masashi was hiding from his own grief.
But you can't lock a monster in the basement forever. it always gets out.
No, you can't. The source material says the bug eventually eroded the safety measures. It leaked. And when the game finally released in 2023, that corruption was just sitting there waiting for the players.
Okay, so that is the reality. That is the blood, the drugs, and the bad code that built this thing. Now, I want to cross the threshold. I want to talk about the game itself.
Let's do it.
Because the lore of Melancholia isn't just shoot the zombies. It is incredibly dense. It covers, what, 10,000 years of history?
At least. And this is where we have to pay really close attention, because the story within the game mirrors the story of its creation so perfectly. It's a cyberpunk world, yes, but the mythology is pure Gothic fantasy.
It starts with the creation myth, right? The progenitors.
Right. In the beginning, there were the progenitors. They created the universe, but they didn't use math or physics. They used music.
I love that concept. The universe as a symphony.
It binds everything together. Music is the divine tool of creation in this lore. So the progenitors built this paradise, but eventually they left. They exited our reality through a gate.
And that gate is located in the Deadlight Desert.
Which is a real place in Namibia.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's gorgeous and eerie. Ancient dead trees against white clay. A perfect place for a gate to the gods.
It is. But before the progenitors left, they realized they couldn't just leave the world unguarded, so they created sentinels. Guardians.
This is the pantheon.
Guardians of time, sleep, death, love, nature, light, darkness, fire, and water. 9 of them. They were supposed to maintain the balance. But the progenitors also made a mistake. They created a guardian for the gate itself, a creature called the Grootslang.
Grootslang. That's Africans for big snake, isn't it?
Yes, and it's a creature from actual folklore in South Africa, an elephant-serpent hybrid. In the game lore, the progenitors realized the Grootslang was too chaotic, too powerful.
It was a bug in their creation.
A bug in their creation, so they tried to delete it, to use a coding metaphor. They tried to split it into 2 separate species, elephants and serpents.
But they missed one.
One original Grootslang survived. It hid itself in a cave, and its existence effectively blocked the gate. It became an obstacle that prevented the progenitors from ever returning.
Okay, stop right there. That sounds exactly like the Dooms deity bug.
Tell me.
It's a mistake the creators made, something that was too powerful to delete, so it just sat there in the dark, corrupting everything and blocking the way.
The parallel is undeniable. The Grootslang is the Dooms deity of the mythology, and it was discovered by Atricius, the guardian of time.
Let's talk about Atricius. He seems like a central figure in all this.
He is. He's the tragic observer. Atricius lost his physical sight, but in exchange, he gained spiritual vision through a crystal orb. He can see the past, present, and future.
So he sees everything.
He found the Grootslang, but he knew he couldn't destroy it alone. And this is where the balance of the world starts to tip, because humans get involved.
Humans always ruin the perfect paradise, don't we?
Well, in this case, we had a little help. Yambe, the guardian of fire, decided to intervene. He gave humans a portion of his power.
A Prometheus-style move.
Exactly. And with the power of fire, humans became dominant. Within 10,000 years, they were powerful, arrogant, and dangerous. And the other guardians, specifically Hexra, were not happy about this.
Hexra is the guardian of death.
Yes. And she decided to balance the scales. She created a pestilence to wipe out humanity. This pestilence turned humans into hell enfants, which are essentially demons.
So now we have a war. Humans with fire powers versus demons created by death.
100-year war. Civilization completely collapses. But then it gets even worse.
Of course it does.
We see the birth of vampires, and the lore is very specific about this. It's not just a bat bit a guy. It was a pact.
A deal with the devil. Or a demon in this case.
A corrupted hell infant, known as the Malkavian, made a blood pact with a group of power-hungry humans. This pact created a new species, the vampires. Strong, fast, but weak to the sun because they had turned their backs on the light.
And the only thing standing against them were the Sangoma. Now, for listeners who don't know, what is a Sangoma?
In the real world, in Southern African culture, a Sangoma is a traditional healer, a diviner. They are spiritual conduits. In the game world, they took that concept and turned them into warrior monks.
Wielders of holy magic.
Exactly. Who could fight the vampires?
So the board is set. You have Atricius, the time god, watching all this chaos. You have Hexra, the death goddess, trying to kill everyone. You have vampires, Sangomas, and fire-wielding humans. It's a complete mess.
It's a broken world. And eventually, a chief Sangoma manages to duel the Malkavian, the first vampire, and instead of killing him, he frees his mind.
A redemption arc.
A huge turning point. The Malkavian redeems himself and teams up with Atrecius.
So the Time God and the Vampire King teaming up to save the world, that's a buddy cop movie I'd watch.
They go on a quest to retrieve a legendary sword called the Sin Eater. And that's the state of the world when the game actually begins. That is the history.
But remember, this is a video game. Someone has to play it.
And this is where the real world crashes right back into the game world again. Because when the player logs in wearing that Dreamweaving headset, maybe tripping on Aurora, they are a new variable.
The player character is called the Gray One.
And the source material says their arrival causes a massive glitch.
A glitch. Not a feature. A glitch.
The game logic breaks, the timeline fractures, memories are rewritten, but most importantly, this glitch births two entities that were never supposed to exist. Two anomalies that weren't in the prophecy.
Nero Valentine and Orpheus Morningsong.
These two are the heart of the story. They are the result of the collision between Masashi's broken code and the player's presence. Let's start with Nero Valentine.
Nero's the villain, right, but he's cool. He's a rock star.
He is the ultimate rock star. Atrecius, the Time Guardian, sees Nero and, for reasons that aren't entirely clear, decides to give him the universe's most sacred gift.
Which is?
The power of music.
The same power the progenitors used to create the entire world. He just hands it over.
He does. Nero forms a band, and he sets up residence in a very, very specific location. The Raven Club.
Yeah.
Inside the Belvedere Hotel.
Wait. The Raven Club.
Yeah.
That's where the developers locked the Doom's Deity bug.
Exactly.
So in the real world, that room is a quarantine zone for corrupted code. But in the game world, it's the headquarters of the most powerful being in existence.
That's the connection. Nero is drawing his power from that corruption. His music starts attracting lost souls. It creates a malevolent miasma. He's basically turning the hotel into a spiritual black hole, trapping souls inside.
And he's getting stronger.
So strong that Yambe, the Fire Guardian, decides to switch sides. He aligns with Nero. He gives Nero fire powers.
Oh, come on.
So now you have a charismatic rock god with the power of creation, which is music, and the power of destruction, which is fire. The other guardians are terrified. They need a counterbalance.
And that counterbalance is Orpheus Morningsong.
Orpheus is the inverse of Nero. He is peaceful, protective. He doesn't want to fight. He just wants to exist. But the guardians, specifically Hexra, the Death Guardian, need him to fight.
So she needs to motivate him.
So Hexra does something incredibly cruel to force his hand.
She goes after the one thing he loves.
Orpheus has a lover named Eurydice. Hexra unleashes a serpent to kill her. And then she frames Nero for the murder because Nero is known to have a fascination with snakes.
That is just Shakespearean. Orpheus is grief-stricken. He thinks this rock star killed the love of his life.
He is completely broken. He begs the guardians to return her soul, and Hexra, being the ultimate manipulator, makes a deal with him. She says, "I will return her soul if you can make me cry."
Make the goddess of death cry. That sounds completely impossible.
It should be. But this is the aha moment of the entire mythos. Orpheus sings a lament, a song of pure, unadulterated heartbreak. But he doesn't just sing it like a performance. He channels the power of music from within.
Without the gods' permission.
That's the key. Up until this moment, music was a divine tool that was loaned out by the gods. Orpheus proves that humanity, or at least this lich-born entity representing humanity, can reclaim that power through raw emotion.
Wow.
He sings so painfully, so truthfully, that he taps into the source code of the universe.
He hacks the system with a sad song.
In a way, yes. And it works. Hexra cries. She realizes the magnitude of what he's just done, and she reveals the truth. I didn't take her soul. She is trapped.
Trapped where, let me guess?
In the Heartbreak Hotel, which is effectively the Raven Club.
So she's with Nero.
She's in Nero's domain. To get her back, Orpheus needs the skeleton key. But Nero is inside the hotel, surrounded by his miasma, his fire, and all his trapped souls. And the hotel has no exits.
And again, the layers align perfectly. Orpheus has to go into the Raven Club, the very place where the real-world developers hid the Doom's Deity bug.
He is walking into the epicenter of the corruption.
So the stakes are impossibly high. In the fiction, he's fighting for love. But in the meta-narrative, he's fighting against the negligence of Necroware games. He is trying to rescue beauty from a system that is fundamentally broken.
That's it.
You know, hearing it all laid out like that,
Yeah.
it makes me think about Masashi again.
How so?
Well, Masashi created all of this technology, the headsets, the pills, basically to escape reality, right? To escape the grief of losing his father. He built a fake world to hide in.
Yes, absolutely.
But inside that fake world, the hero, Orpheus, is doing the exact opposite. He isn't trying to escape the pain, he's diving right into it. He sings about it so loudly that the gods cry. He marches into hell to face it head on.
That is a profound parallel. Masashi tried to numb the pain with Aurora. Orpheus used the pain to find his power.
It feels like the code itself, is trying to teach its creator a lesson he wasn't ready to learn.
Or perhaps it's a warning to us. We live in an age of escapism. We have our own versions of Project Ares, maybe not with pills yet, but we have algorithms that feed us what we want, infinite scrolls to distract us.
Sure.
Masashi's story suggests that if you try to build a fortress against grief, you might just end up locking yourself in a hotel you can never leave.
That is heavy. But it feels true.
It is.
Now, we've talked a lot about the lore, the history, the corporate crimes. We've described Orpheus's song. We've described the vibe of the Raven Club. But describing music is like describing a color to someone who's never seen it. It doesn't really do it justice.
It falls flat. We can tell you that the song made death cry, but we can't make you feel why.
Exactly. And this is really important. If you are listening to this and you find yourself hooked by the story of Nero and Orpheus, if you want to know how that duel ends or what the atmosphere of the Heartbreak Hotel actually sounds like, you can't just stop here.
No, you need to go to the source.
There is a companion album for the Neon Nightmare. And from what I understand, it's not just a soundtrack. It's not just background noise.
No, it is the story. The album contains the narrative beats we just discussed. It has the lament of Orpheus. It has the aggressive industrial sound of Nero's band. It captures the emotion that the text documents can only hint at.
So consider this your call to adventure. We've given you the map, but the music is the territory. Go listen to the album, put on some headphones, regular ones please, no Dreamweaving headsets, and let yourself sink into that world properly.
And definitely skip the Aurora pill.
Hard pass on the Aurora pill, just stick to the music.
It's much safer that way.
This has been a wild ride, from the boardrooms of Necroware to the deserts of the progenitors. Thanks for helping me unpack this madness.
Always a pleasure to explore the darkness with you.
And thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Stay curious, and watch out for glitches.